Welcome to a psychiatrist's take on the Bible. This podcast does not provide psychiatric, medical, or professional advice, opinion, treatment, or counseling. It contains general information for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for psychiatric, medical, or professional care. It does offer a unique "so what" take on the Bible of a board-certified psychiatrist who is also an ordained minister.
I'll probably get a little flack for this post because a lot of people feel that psychiatry, psychology, and those professions tend to say, believe in yourself and you can accomplish whatever you want. Whatever the mind of man can conceive, the hand of man can achieve. The old Tower of Babel stuff, if we all work together, we can build a tower that reaches up to heaven. And then we don't have to obey God, we can just climb the tower. On the other hand, I think we go too far in the other direction, where we think that humility and godliness means dumping on ourselves and denying the fact that God has done a pretty good job, that we are His handiwork, created in Christ Jesus unto good works which He prepared for us, the proof of His brilliance and excellence, that He truly loves us and that He works through us, that our feet are beautiful because they carry good tidings, and our back is beautiful because it carries burdens for others, and our mouth is beautiful if we let Him speak words through us that help others. What does a really healthy person experience in regards to this? I often talk to people in the hospital, or even when I finish working with them in the partial, and I say, in 2 years, and I give you that long to get there, I hope you're doing so well that you get up in the morning, sit on the edge of your bed, and just feel real sorry for everybody else that they can't be you. Because being you is just so great. That you get to the place where you see God's design in you, the parents He gave you, your manufacture, your childhood, your gifts, your weaknesses, all of it taken together, and you see that it is exactly what is needed for you to grab a hold of the opportunities God has prepared for you in life. And when you jump in and see how this God design works out, you just enjoy being you. Problems and all, shortcomings and all, even our weaknesses make us valuable, for they show off the power of God, and they cause other people to feel useful as they minister to us in our areas of weakness. And then we all have strengths. 1 Corinthians 12, the two basic errors are made clear, and that is if a person denies their own abilities. If the ear says, I am not an eyeball, therefore I'm not part of the body, the only thing that happens as a result is you don't contribute to the body from your unique hearing perspective. What if the body were a giant eyeball? Or if the head says to the foot, I have no need of you. Most of my patients don't get into that. But they don't necessarily delight in their weaknesses and their strengths and just really enjoy being themselves. In Acts 26:29, Paul says, I would to God that not only thou, but also all that hear me this day, were both almost and altogether such as I am, except these bonds. Now he was talking to somebody that he wished that they would become a Christian. Of course, that's the coolest thing about who we are. We belong to Christ. We are immortal. We are the bride of Christ, destined to all eternity in heaven. Not much could get better than that. But in addition to that, all the unchangeable features of our life are pretty cool, the way God puts them together. And our abilities, as we yield them to him he uses to bless others. We should rejoice in all that, to where being us is a delight. God thinks he's done a pretty good job, and I think we can worship him by thanking him for our abilities and our weaknesses, and for the people he puts in our life, and all of these things that we tend to put up with. We read in 1 Corinthians 11:1, "Be ye followers of me as I follow Christ." We should walk with God in such a way that we can highly recommend to other Christians, watch me, and then you try it. Galatians 4:12, "Brethren, I beseech you, be as I am." 1 Corinthians 7:7, "For I would that all men were even as myself." Now in that case he's talking about being single and celibate. And we could argue with him on that point, because God usually calls us to a different walk. Well, are you married and you are not enjoying that? Perhaps your spouse is imperfect, as most spouses are. But we can delight in our reality, single or married or whatever else is true about it. Does feeling wonderful about yourself, your present reality, seem ridiculous to you, like somehow it's not right? Maybe you need to take who you are, where you are, when you are, and who are your people? What are they like? What are you able to do? What do you have? Who you are in Christ? All the realities that are you. And say, Lord, thank you for them. Teach me to delight in them, and watch how you use those to bless others and to lay up for me treasure in heaven. And we need to walk the extra miles. The first mile would be to stop resenting these realities or trying to overcome them. I, for example, have a bad case of attention deficit disorder. And for years I tried not to have a bad case of attention deficit disorder. I'm not able to do it. That forces me to rely on others to compensate for that weakness, to the point I kind of like it. There are some positives in having that. Certainly it helps with humility. We often feel that it's somehow spiritual to put ourselves down, but that's just not the case. Those who feel like they are the least turn out to be the most important. So, if you're the least, rejoice in that. The second mile is to rejoice and be grateful for all your current realities, especially the ones you can do nothing about. I often have patients sit down and write out 10 basic things about who they are: their family of origin, their sex, their age, their height, their IQ, the family they were raised in, and what they're like. All the things that they can't do anything about, and thank God for them. The third mile is to seize a hold of these realities and enjoy what we have. Ecclesiastes 9, as I've often pointed out, says, delight in your food, your drink, your clothing, the things you have. Then minister to and love on and receive from those who are in our life. Maybe set some limits on them at times, but to quit thinking that by resenting them they'll somehow change or go away. And whatever your hand finds to do, do with all your might. The fourth mile is to delight in what the Lord has done in making you and preparing you to be the right one for the job. Do you feel incompetent sometimes to be the mother, the wife, the husband, the doctor, the caregiver, whatever role you're called in? Well, God has prepared you to be the right job, the right one for that job. And the last step is to bring God glory by sharing with others how much you delight in what God has done in your life, and how cool it would be if they would let the Lord have his way in their reality as well. Lastly, we can rejoice in the marvelous job God has done in other people. Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. If you try to delight in the marvel of what he's done in other people's lives and help them see the value of their weaknesses and their strengths and their experiences and their supports, and to delight in that, and you are not doing it yourself, it just won't work. First, we have to be grateful for what we have, and then we can help them be grateful for who they are and what they have. Lastly, we seek to grab the present reality and live it for God with enthusiasm. This does not mean that we don't try to grow, set limits, alter that reality as God leads, and improve on it. It just means you start with what is, delight in that, and see where God leads you. May God bless you.